Time to take you through the first starting grid of the day. It's Senior Rotax, second chance heat. So, on the front row, it's Angus Scrivener and Paul Hamburg. Ollie Stevens and Lotus Tveen will be on row 2. Jamie Perrelli and Jens Christensen, row 3. Henry Beaumont and Yuri Tenhef, row 4. Andrea Kostic and Ed Harun rounding out the top 10. Andrei Petrovic, Alejandro Samaniego, Jaren Schultz, Gustav Zusakovs, Elia Papasena, Arthur Robin, Henki Kalteren due to join as well, along with Brandon Klein-Nagelvoort, Archie Buttle and Tom Bilou rounding out the top 20. Completing the 36-strong grid is Mohammed Wali from Kuwait, Korkorenik from Estonia, Mats Johan Overhoff, Ate Verta, Tonis Johannes Dominguez, Kamil Murad from Australia, Pablo Colomer, Anthony Bilou, Matteo Pianezola, Canada's Lucas Bernot, Pedro Arango from Colombia, Zino Falco from Germany, Shiraishi Itsumo from Japan, and a trio of French drivers rounding out the grid. Tom Vuaou, Bapti Schneider, and Lilian Richard. So all results called up here in the commentary box after every single race will be provisional pending any sporting and technical checks. As this is where it really does mean a lot to these drivers. And they will have to fight for another 11 minutes of racing to try and secure their place in the top 6, thereby proceeding to the pre-final stages this morning. The finals will take place after the lunch break, where the winners in each class will become the Wintercup champions. And it all comes down to that final race. No points on offer for the championship. It's a one-off event. And with that comes the spoils of glory and also an entry to the 2023 Rotax Max Challenge Euro Trophy season. So Angus Scrivener from the UK and Paul Hamburg from Estonia controlling the rolling start. The anticipation for finals day is at an end. Out of the final corner, revs rise. Are we ready? Are we steady? The Senior Rotax second chance heat is underway. Good start by Scrivener, who leads the field on the approach down into turn number 1. 2, 3 abreast as they are all jockeying for position as they go up the hill for the first time. 2 abreast all the way up through turn 4 from around about 8th backwards. And it's still the case, even 3 abreast. It's a bit close for comfort, but they're all making it safely through. As now the field makes its way over turn number 8 at the crest of the hill. Down through 9, side by side at certain points. But Scrivener still leads the way. Oh, someone's run a bit wide coming out of... And that might have been Jamie Perrelli. That was the case. The Brit has dropped down a few positions. He's got the 312 right behind him. Henry Beaumont. There's someone else trying to go around the outside. That would have been Yuri Tenhef from Germany. A gaggle of 5 carts battling over 5th position into turn number 16. But Scrivener comes out of the final corner. Will lead the field after lap number 1. Lotus Tveen battling away with Jens Christensen. That's the battle for 4th position, as there's an absolute swarm of at least 10 carts battling over 6th place, being led by Yuri Tenhef from Germany, who started to try and pull away, and someone's gone off the circuit. And that was off at turn number 4. And that driver is, well, literally kicked up the dust. He's having to rejoin, but having to wait for the entire field to go past before going back up to full speed. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, the top 3 have broken away. It's Scrivener, Stevens and Hamburg. And now up the inside of Yuri Tenhef. That was Lotus Tveen. And then also Ed Harun from Spain trying to get involved. Gets the cross, gets the over-under done. Gustav Zusakovs is also in the mix there as well. And now the 2 drivers in 4th and 5th position. Jens Christensen and Lotus Tveen are catching, but now look at the squabble. It's 3 wide coming out of the final corner. And the 389 of Yanin Schultz from Israel has to take avoiding action. Whilst they're battling away, Usakovs is trying to get through. Can't get past the 386 who runs wide. Usakovs was very, very quick through turn number 7, but unable to squeeze through the gap that presented itself. But now they go down the hill again. 7 minutes and 20 seconds plus an additional lap still to go. And as soon as Usakovs gets past Harun, which he does now through turn number 12, and the Spaniard is saying, come on, let's push. Well, they've got an opportunity to do so, as now there's going to be a change for the lead at the front of the field. Ollie Stevens gets through on Angus Scrivener for turn 16 for the race lead. And now Usakovs needs to start catching up to Henry Beaumont, who's currently sitting in 6th position. And there is a 5-second penalty coming. That's going to the 330. That's Lotus Tveen. Lotus Tveen gets hit with a 5-second time penalty for pushing. Henke Carlton, unfortunately, a non-starter. Jamie Perrelly's weekend, unfortunately, has come to an abrupt end for the 392 from Essex. So now, this changes everything. Looking at where Lotus Tveen is, in comparison with Gustav Usakovs, if she stays 5 seconds ahead, then that means she will proceed through to the next stage of the competition. Kamal Murad having a nice little move up the inside of Mohammed Wali through into turn number 12. So the Australian gets through on the Kuwaiti driver. As we have got a yellow flag going towards turn number 16. Ollie Stevens' lead is starting to extend somewhat, but only fractionally. 0.2 of a second between him and Angus Scrivener. Paul Hamburg, Lotus Tveen and Jens Christensen round out the top 5. Gustav Usakovs, however, has been pushing like crazy to try and catch up with Henry Beaumont, and that has started to work. Andrija Kostic is also now the latest casualty. The Serbian now has pulled off the circuit, and the 321 will not take any further part in the second chance heat. Half of the race completed, 5 minutes to go. Top 5 last time around were covered by just over a second. And looking at the gap between Lotus Tveen and Gustav Usakovs, that's currently at around about, well, last time around it was 4.3 seconds. Now it's 4.1 and closing. So, unfortunately, retirements from Andrija Kostic and Jamie Perrelly on laps 2 and 1 respectively. Anthony Bellou has dropped down to the bottom of the order, and there's some, oh my goodness, through turn number 6. There was someone pointing the wrong way. I think it might have been someone from PKS Competition on the Gillard chassis. Looks like Anthony Bellou has dropped down the order, as now Gustav Usakovs takes 6th on the road from Henry Beaumont. But what they need to start doing with just under 4 minutes to go is to push forward. That is more important than trying to battle each other for position, even though where you finish in the second chance heat determines whether you start 31st or down to 36th position on the grid later on. Lead between Stevens and Scrivener now extends to nearly half a second as Usakovs and Beaumont are within that window to qualify for the pre-finals and the finals. Usakovs had dramas in qualifying on Friday afternoon, has fought his way back up the order, and he's not just done that as a junior, he's now done that this weekend as a senior. So the Carlton driver, with regards to the 359 from Latvia, now seems to be in very, very good harmony. Lusarkovs is pulling away from Henry Beaumont, and it is Anthony Boulou that will be out of this race on lap number 4. Lusarkovs is the fastest one out there, 1 minute 3.273 from the youngster, based out of Larkfield in the United Kingdom these days, but still regularly goes back to Latvia to compete. So with 2 minutes and 10 seconds still to go on the timer. Things seem to have stabilised at the front end of the field. And looking at the times that Lusarkovs has put in, well, in comparison with Jens Christensen, took over nearly 4.5 tenths of a second out of the Dane on the previous lap. Lusarkovs a 1 minute 3.350. Jens Christensen a 1 minute 3.793. Angus Scrivener's just put in a personal best the previous lap around. As we go on to lap number 9. 1.5 minutes plus an additional lap remains on the timer. Black and white warning flag going to the 313 of Ahti Virta from Finland. And a very good morning to Jan Schwitter, wishing everyone a nice finals day. That's the spirit, that's what we like here in the Rotax racing community. Leaders go up to the top of the hill at turn 8, now down the roller coaster. Well, effectively, Campillos' answer to Laguna Seca's corkscrew. Jens Christensen is right behind Lotus Tveen and decides to pull the trigger. Goes up the inside of the 330 from Denmark. And also looks like an impending retirement for Elia Papasena from Italy. Not a great weekend for the Italian, who started in this second chance heat in 14th place. But now the gap is starting to extend between first, second and third, and then back down to 4th and 5th. And Lusarkovs is on an absolute tear at the moment. 1 minute 3.488 from the Latvian. Lotus Tveen's previous lap was a 1 minute 4.140. The way things stand at the moment, this will probably put Lotus Tveen down to 8th position as the timer now hits 0. 10 minutes are up. As we're on to lap number 10, we've got one more lap after this. And Lusarkovs takes the calmest look over his left shoulder. Knows that he's left Henry Beaumont behind him in his wake, but Beaumont is still within that window as Erharun and the 322 of Archie Buttle continue to battle. That is over 9th place. One more lap to go in the second chance heat. Ollie Stevens now has just over a 10.5 second advantage over Angus Scrivener from Hunter Motorsport. Paul Hamburg in 3rd place. Jens Christensen in 4th. Lotus Tveen on the road is 5th, but will have a subsequent 5-second time penalty for pushing. Gustav Lusarkovs is only 3.8 seconds off the leader now in 6th place. And Henry Beaumont is still within that window. He's about 4.3 seconds behind Lotus Tveen in 5th place. Down the mid part of the mid straightaway go the top 6, and then also the remainder of the top 10 to 12. But one more corner remains out of the final turn. From Dan Holland Racing, the UK's Ollie Stevens wins the second chance heat in seniors. Angus Scrivener for Hunter Motorsport takes second. Paul Hamburg from Talvar Racing, who's actually, funnily enough, under the same awning as Scrivener and Lusarkovs to boot, takes 3rd. Jens Christensen takes 4th. Lotus Tveen on the road takes 5th. With Gustav Lusarkovs 6th, Henry Beaumont in 7th. Andrej Petrovic, the Serbian, making it all the way up to 8th at the flag ahead of Erharun and Archie Buttle. just waiting. And Lotus Tveen will not proceed through to the pre-final and final stages. So Gustav Zusakovs and Henry Beaumont provisionally are the remaining of the top 6 drivers that will go through to the pre-final and the finals here today. Matteo Pianizzola, Tom Bilou, Mats Johan Overhoff, Mohamed Wali, Yuri Tenhef, Lucas Pernod, Brandon Klein-Nagelvoort, Kamal Mrad, Lilian Richard, Alejandro Samaniego ran at the top 20. Colombia's Pedro Arango, Tonis Johannes Tumingas, Baptiste Schneider, Kao Korenik, Tom Vuau ran at the top 25. Shiraishi Itsumo from Japan, 26th, ahead of Pablo Colomer from Spain. Israel's Yarin Schultz, and Germany's Zino Falke being the last of the classified finishers, 29 in total that made it to the end of 11 laps of racing. Henki Kalteren, a non-starter, and we had retirements from Ate Virta, Elia Papasena, Arthur Robin, Anthony Bilou, Andrea Kostic, and Jamie Perrelli. So the drivers being given an understanding of what the race director Thomas Leiner wanted in terms of starting the race itself. With the 30-second board, the wait was finally over for finals day to begin, as 36 senior Rotax drivers would go out for their second chance to qualify for the pre-final and the final. The lights went out and Angus Scrivener led the field, heading into turn 1 down the extensively long start-finish straight. Ollie Stevens would then slot into second position and start to give chase. The likes of Paul Hamburg, Jens Christensen and quite a few others trying to get through. Also, this touch here saw Jamie Perrelli have his first off-track excursion, where he looked like he was rallycrossing as opposed to karting. Then Lotus Tveen would get past countryman Jens Christensen through turn 1 and move up to 4th position. However, the young Dane would end up having a 5-second time penalty for pushing added in the race. Also, the 3:21 was showing good pace in the form of Andrea Kostic battling away with Yuri Tenhef, as the 3:12 of Henry Beaumont went through, but Jamie Perrelli, after a second excursion, frustrated and parked it in the dummy grid. The body language quite clear to see that there was disappointment for the Brits. More side-by-side action as everyone proceeded up the hill. And then this little moment, which involved the 3:17 of Arthur Robin, going through turns 5, 6 and 7. Some overtaking happening up and down the order, including the likes of the 333 of Canada's Lucas Pernod, who made up a few places in the meantime. And this move meant that Jens Christensen would get back past Lotus Tveen through turn 12 with the left rear wheel going up into the air as he turned in to the braking zone. Also, Archie Buttle showing some good moves out on the circuit, battling away with Spain's Er Harun in the 386 for ALC Motorsport. But the checkered flag waved and Ollie Stevens, Angus Scrivener, Paul Hamburg, Jens Christensen, Gustav Zusakovs and Henry Beaumont provisionally head through to the pre-final stage of the Rotax Max Challenge Winter Cup for Senior Rotax.